Hello everybody, and welcome to Noodle Journey. Today's review is going to be Ramen Talk's Tomato Tonkotsu Ramen. Intriguing, right? I have never seen tomato tonkotsu before. So this is a pork bone broth with what appears to be tomato paste mixed into it, and so I'm expecting that it's going to hit all the tonkotsu flavored notes from Ramen Talk's basic tonkotsu pack, but with a possibly umami, sweet, acidic tomato twist. I'm into it. I have no idea if this is authentic to any specific region in Japan or not, because Google doesn't really show me anything about that when I search for tomato tonkotsu. But authentic or not, I'm eager to see how this tastes. I was very slightly let down by Ramen Talk's basic tonkotsu, so maybe this will go a little better. As with Ramen Talk's other varieties, you might be lucky enough to find this at your local Asian market, wherever you may be, or you can get this for a little under $7 from their website plus shipping. And remember that the $7 price tag exists because you get everything shown on the package inside of here, including the slice of chashu pork. Yes, everything that is shown on the package, which means corn. I've talked about corn lots of times on this channel. It's one of my least favorite ingredients in noodles. I like corn just fine on its own, but I really don't think it has any business being in my noodle soup. Not just from a textural perspective, but, you know, the sweetness too. Like, for example, Samyang's buldak corn is, in my opinion, the low point of their whole product line. And I see corn in cup products often, and it just feels like a cheap and unnecessary add-in. And I'm assuming it's a popular add-in because, well, it's so cheap. But we've also talked about how adding corn to miso ramen in Hokkaido, Japan is a very specific regional thing, and so maybe this will be along those lines and kind of work with this broth. We'll see. Since we're talking ingredients, let me open this bag and show you the other stuff. So we've got a bundle of the usual Ramen Talk artisanal noodles. These seem to be the same sun-dried wheat noodles as in most of the other packs. Here is the tomato tonkotsu broth already mixed together, so no separate packets of tomato paste and tonkotsu concentrate. Here's the pork chashu, a bag of corn, and some freeze-dried green onions, which have been pretty good in the other varieties, and also some sesame seeds in there with the green onions. I'm very dubious about this corn, but I'm excited about everything else, so let's get this cooked. Now, while the noodles are boiling 4 to 6 minutes, everything else goes in the serving bowl with 330 milliliters of boiling water. So let's start with the soup base. That smells very good. Maybe this is my Italian heritage speaking, but it kind of reminds me of a very Sunday gravy smell, as in a tomato sauce with usually pork, sometimes beef. Kind of makes sense because this is tomato and pork, right? All right, time for the pork. A little fattier than the one in the basic tonkotsu pack. Corn. Yeah, the corn just smells like corn. I don't think there's anything fancy like miso butter or anything in it. So, in that goes. All right, we'll save the green onions and sesame seeds for the garnish at the end. Let me go get the boiling water for this. Okay, let's mix this up. Make sure the tomato pork concentrate is dissolved relatively quick. And while this pork rehydrates a little more, let me go get the noodles. Okay, there's the noodles. Let's get them coated. In retrospect, I probably should have saved the corn till after the noodles were in here, but you know, I wanted them to heat up a little bit. So my bad, it's not going to look like the picture. And voila. Not quite the same. The corn is my fault. There are no chunks of tomatoes in this, so it doesn't quite look like this. All right, let me mix this up and take a bite. Okay, starting with the noodles, these are the same ones that came in the regular tonkotsu pack, the tom yum, and the volcano bolognese. We gave them a 10 out of 10 every time, and that's what they still are. They're really great quality. The air dry process makes them nice and light while retaining a firm chew. They're awesome. Spice level on this is non-existent, in case you were worried. This is perfectly mild, so 0 out of 10 for spice. And now the overall assessment. Getting it out of the way, the corn is just kind of an afterthought in this. It doesn't have a strong enough flavor to stand on its own against the tomato pork soup. Texturally, it's just corn, and you know what? It's a pain in the ass to pick up with chopsticks. It really is. I don't think it needs to be in here. It's not really adding anything. It's not bad, it's not distracting, it's just here. So, whatever. As far as the broth, it is really nice and porky, and the tomato brings out some other flavors and makes it a bit more complex than the basic tonkotsu pack was. So besides having your typical flavors like soy sauce, pork bone, garlic, and ginger, the addition of the tomato paste turns this into just a full throttle umami experience. And yeah, in case you were worried that it might come off a little more like ketchup mixed with soup, it doesn't. It's good. The broth is really good. It's basically a tomato soup with some extra umami. I've never had anything like this before, and I'm impressed that it works. Let's see, what else? The green onions bounce back to life pretty well. Once they get a little hydration, they come out just fine. The chashu pork, a little more tender than it was last time, and it tastes really, really good with this broth. It's very complimentary. Even though on its own it looks like it was the same kind of bland slice of pork we saw a couple episodes ago, the broth here coats it better and brings out some way better flavor. I still think something aside from corn could have gone into this as another add-in and made it feel a little less cheap. I think bamboo probably would have been nicer. But as an overall experience, I am not unhappy with this. I think this is worth a 9 out of 10 overall. If you love tomato soup, you should definitely give this a try. Despite my misgivings about corn in this, the rest of the meal works well enough. And I wouldn't tell you to skip this one if you were thinking of buying it on its own or in a variety pack. The combination of tomato and pork bone broth is pretty neat, and if you're open-minded about your ramen, this is worth a purchase. You might be able to achieve the same effect by buying a cheaper tonkotsu pack and caramelizing some tomato paste yourself to mix in, but that's obviously a bit more effort, so maybe the $7 is worth the shortcut. Your choice. We have one more ramen talk variety left to go in the next episode, and it's going to be another interesting one. If you try this, or know if there's an actual precedent for this recipe somewhere in Japan, please leave me a comment. Please remember to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you enjoy seeing my content, and I hope you'll join me on the next episode of Noodle Journey.